series of raids has put nearly 100 criminals behind bars. U.S. Immigration and Customs officials targeted convicted drug traffickers and known street gang members here in Las Vegas and up in Reno. Officers focused on individuals who they say posed a public safety threat. Their criminal histories included past convictions for drug trafficking, weapons violations, child sex offenses, and domestic violence.
Before sunrise in rural Nevada, a swarm of ICE buses rolled into quiet fuel stops, small gas stations nestled along remote highways. Within hours, over 900 individuals were in custody. No warning, no legal counsel, no chance to say goodbye. The raid began near Ely, then spread rapidly across Highway 50 and Interstate 80. It was surgical. ICE teams and unmarked convoys sealed off at least 4 gas stations. Agents moved in, questioned everyone, and removed migrants directly from vehicles and storefronts. Eyewitnesses described workers being taken mid-shift. Travelers pulled while pumping gas. Others detained walking out of restrooms. By 9 a.m., buses were full. ICE released a generic statement later, something about trafficking, but there were no names, no charges, no destination. Local sheriffs and even the governor were blindsided. Immigrant rights groups say this is the playbook now. Strike fast, stay quiet, and leave families scrambling for answers. ICE didn't just raid gas stations, they made them battlegrounds. ICE moved in fast, no warning, no coordination, just boots on the ground. Agents stormed the gas stations, yanking people out of cars, convenience stores, even bathrooms. Some workers were just clocking in. Others were buying breakfast or filling up their tanks when they were grabbed and cuffed. By mid-morning, buses were packed. ICE issued a cold, 2-line press release about combating human smuggling. But no names, no charges, no proof. Local law enforcement, completely in the dark. The governor's office, blindsided. Immigrant rights groups say this silence isn't accidental. It's ICE's new playbook. Keep it quiet, strike fast, and avoid legal pushback. And gas stations. Experts say they're the perfect trap. Predictable traffic. Minimal resistance. High drama. Unlike worksite raids that take months of coordination, these new tactics hit harder, faster, and leave entire communities paralyzed. This wasn't a raid, it was a message. ICE can strike anywhere. Legal groups call it shock and grab, detaining people with no regard for due process or rights. Sure, ICE claimed it was after smugglers, but the people taken, cafeteria workers, janitors, kids walking to school. One man was picked up while delivering water. Another, taken mid-shift at a tire shop. A 16-year-old high schooler arrested just grabbing breakfast. Witnesses say ICE made no distinction. If you looked Latino, you were at risk. Parents are terrified. Kids are anxious. One 10-year-old waited outside McDonald's all day for a father who never came home. The collateral damage is massive. This isn't enforcement. It's trauma on a national scale.
With signs in hand, passionately making their voices heard. Early on, a man in a MAGA hat walked through the group, punches thrown on both sides as tensions rose. After that, the group peacefully and passionately marched all around downtown, making it back to the ICE office. Around 9 p.m., Metro officers in riot gear lined nearby streets saying that they'd use tear gas if protesters did not disperse, causing chaos amongst the crowd.
Legal analysts say this wasn't precision. It was intimidation. ICE didn't show warrants. Phones were taken. Translators denied. People with asylum claims or DACA protections had no time to prove it. Jobs were lost. Court hearings missed. Legal status jeopardized. ICE calls this routine. But what's routine about denying a father the chance to say goodbye? Or deporting someone before their lawyer even knows they're gone? This is more than legal gray area. It's systemic disregard. No coordination with Nevada's own law enforcement. No heads up to town leaders. ICE knows sanctuary laws exist, so now they sidestep them, targeting spaces with no protections. Public rest stops, fast food, gas pumps, the new raid zones of America.
We saw it all play out on our city streets here. Hundreds of people making their voices heard against the immigration raids by the Trump administration and the president's mass deportation plan. Now, we saw it overnight, Metro Police declaring these protests unlawful, so we have a lot of questions.
ICE plays by its own rules. Because its actions are civil, not criminal, it doesn't need the same oversight. No warrants, no problem. Family separation, detention, deportation, all executed without transparency. In Nevada, this meant families calling all day, unsure where their loved ones were. Cars were left abandoned. Workers never clocked in. Some were only getting gas, others walking to school. By midday, ICE allowed brief calls, but the damage was done. Employers saw empty job sites. Children waited, confused and alone. Churches opened their doors. This wasn't a raid. It was a rupture. And the wound is still wide open. She didn't even know her husband was gone until nightfall. Across Nevada, construction crews and hotel managers reported dozens of workers missing without explanation. It exposed a truth everyone already knew. Undocumented workers keep the local economy afloat. You can try to deny it, but remove them, and everything slows down. But the real impact? Psychological. Parents afraid to send their kids to school. Workers frozen with fear. Churches flooded with families looking for answers. This wasn't just law enforcement. It was a targeted gut punch to communities already barely holding on. And by morning, Nevada's shockwave hit Washington. Progressives in Congress called it a reckless show of force. Congresswoman Dinah Titus labeled it an appalling overreach, demanding answers. How were these sites selected? Were civil rights violated? Or was this whole thing meant to be a political spectacle before election season?
The next thing that we were advised of generally was individuals who were there on site were being kettled. They were being pushed into specific directions, generally up against the wall. There was a heavy police presence there. And I know many of the folks were looking to disperse, but there was no clear path or instruction provided to many of those folks for how they would in fact disperse.
The surprise wasn't just the raid. It was how federal forces bypassed every local channel. Mayors, police chiefs, state senators, none had a clue. One called it a federal ambush. Lawsuits followed. Groups like the ACLU moved quickly, arguing ICE illegally detained people in public spaces without warrants. But federal officials stayed on script, claiming it was about smugglers and prior offenders. Yet no records were shared, no numbers, no data. Meanwhile, faith leaders condemned what they saw. Priests and pastors opened sanctuaries. Rabbis called it cruelty masked as law. Their message? This isn't just about immigration. It's about what kind of country we want to be.
Including people being injured last night from being struck by those pepper balls when they were looking to leave, people who were at a distance, and we're receiving reports this morning of individuals who are still detained from last night, even after they had cleared the vicinity and were approached by law enforcement at a distance, despite the fact that they were attempting to leave. So litigation is always an option for us, but I think the main thing we're looking at right now is to make sure that for these protests that are coming up this weekend, for instance, on Saturday, that there's not a repeat of what happens last night. Obviously, many of us were involved in the protests of...
The Nevada raid isn't fading. It's growing. Rallies have swelled. Legal clinics overwhelmed. Families still searching for answers. Some detainees were already deported, fast-tracked without hearings, without time. Others sit in detention, days from relocation, weeks from legal help. ICE keeps moving them, making it nearly impossible to fight back. The fear has spread. Grocery stores, schools, parking lots. Even showing your face feels dangerous now. Nevada may be the testing ground, but what ICE did here could happen anywhere. No border town needed. Just a morning, a bus, and a list. The message was clear. You're never too far to be taken. Now, the clock is ticking for those detained. Some will wait weeks for a hearing. Others might be shipped off before their lawyer even finds them. ICE's history of surprise relocations makes legal defense nearly impossible. It's whack-a-mole justice. Move detainees fast enough, and due process becomes a pipe dream. Meanwhile, immigrant neighborhoods are in lockdown. Rumors swirl about unmarked vans near schools, ICE lurking outside grocery stores. Some families have already fled town. Others just won't leave the house. Activists warn Nevada may be the first test run, a new model of mass enforcement. With election talk heating up, Many fear this was a preview of what's to come, an enforcement blitz in swing states with no oversight, no accountability, and thousands caught in the crossfire.
In their own local community areas, they're scared just to even hang out now a lot of the times because at any moment they feel like it can be the last time living here in this country.
Community leaders say this climate of fear is having far-reaching impacts, not just on families, but the Las Vegas economy.
This wasn't just a sweep, it was a signal. Gas stations, once seen as mundane pit stops, became detention zones. Hundreds rounded up while grabbing coffee or gassing up, stripped of phones, rights, and answers. Parents vanished before school drop-offs. Workers disappeared mid-shift. It sent one message loud and clear: nowhere is safe. Lawyers are already sounding alarms, calling out ICE's racial targeting and unregulated authority. And where are the state leaders? Silent, absent, which leaves fear to fill the void. Nevada was just the start. The real question is, when will it happen again, and in whose town? It's not about borders anymore, it's about control.